Today I'm excited to be right here in Elmina, beautiful Elmina, as you can see, you know, the beach and everything, but I'm here with a legend, none other than Rabbi Kohain, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and it's a pleasure to be here with you. I've been waiting for a long time to have this moment, you know, to have a one-on-one again. The first time I met you was in 2015. When I came in here, you know, I loved the place. And then you broke down a lot of history after we did the dungeons over there.
Yes, yes.
And after that, I went back and I'm quite not the same. You understand what I'm saying? I've made it my mission and my cause to be a part of this bridge building thing, my own small way.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you've actually had an impact. I've done a lot of podcasts where, you know, people will ask me and I'll say, you know what? I got inspired to do this because I had a conversation with Rabbi. And they'll be like, who's Rabbi? And I'll tell them, and it's the truth.
Yes.
So thank you for having me. This is very important to me.
Yes.
But what is PANAFEST?
What is PANAFEST? PANAFEST by acronym is the Pan-African Historical Theater Festival that is metamorphosized into the Pan-African Festival of Arts and Culture. And our main focus is to tell the truth about the history of Africa. Using arts as our main medium, arts and culture. You know, African people have suffered the most traumatic experience of any other family of the human family over the last 500 years. And we realize that with that, the African family has been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth and become estranged to itself. And PANAFEST's main initiative was, how do we bring the African family back together again? And there's no better or stronger medium to do that than through arts and culture. The synergy of our cultural retention trait is manifested wherever it is that we are, in our rhythm, in our song, in our dance, in our artistic expressions, in our cuisine, just the swagger and the way we live and who we are. But even with that, we still don't know ourselves to the magnitude that we should. So PANAFEST tries to bridge that gap by doing a biannual festival here in Ghana every 2 years. And we've been in existence since 1992.
Wow.
So that's over 33 years.
How's that been? Like 33 years?
Yes.
I know it was like around that time, the festivals used to be crazy. I don't know what it's
Well,
like.
it was a full government initiative. You know, it started with a vision by Dr. F.O. Sutherland, one of Ghana's very own, an indigenous from the Cape Coast who was a Pan-Africanist, a playwright, an artist in and of herself, and he wrote a proposal around using theater to promote Pan-Africanism and to raise African consciousness. And we'd also had some was influenced by Dr. Mohammed bin Abdallah, who at that time was working with the former President Rollins, you know, in the area of culture, by establishing the National Commission on Culture. And so it was fully a government initiative. But we realized that the government at one point found that it could not fully carry PANAFEST financially because it had some other social stresses on its budget. So there were some of us who felt that the idea, the initiative was too valuable, too important, and the mission was too important, and reuniting the African family for it to let it fade away. So we actually took it up as a private initiative, partnering government where government was able to partner us to make sure we kept this alive. So,
that's awesome.
So from the year 2000, really from 1999 edition, it's been a private initiative partnering with government via the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, through the Ghana Tourism Authority, and in collaboration with the National Commission on Culture. We've been able to maintain the festival and to make links also under the endorsement of the AU, that we have a relationship with other African nations who have supported us. At the top of that list would have to come to say Nigeria, South Africa.
So you have branches over there?
Well, we have resource persons who always mobilize to make sure they bring support, you know, on each edition of PANAFEST. So people,
so they come in, or
they come in.
Oh, okay.
They come in. So we have performers and artists who come in, academic scholars, because one of our components are not only artistic expression and experiences during the festival, but we have a real serious colloquium or conference where we have academic exchange. We have our scholars who come in, who identify some of the major challenges that we're having globally as people of African descent. They present papers on that. We have dialogue on that. And we like to leave every session with a resolution of some part of our African challenges. We found some solutions, and we bring that to our African family at large. So it's multifaceted.
I got it.
Yeah.
What are some of those challenges?
Well, throughout the years, they have, taken on different forms. One, our themes always reflect that. It's gone from the challenge in the year of 2000 of going into IT, and making sure that Africa was not left behind. We've had to take on the challenges of health issues with HIV.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
That was a big thing, and that we had to lend our platform and audience to. Also as of recent, even when it came down to the COVID, we found ourselves during that period lending our platform to that discussion, how Africa can defend itself, how Africa can be on guard with itself. Then the renaissance of Pan-Africanism. There's been various flows of people understanding Pan-Africanism and not understanding Pan-Africanism.
I was about to ask you.
Yeah, because when you talk about Pan-Africanism, too often people think of it as nostalgic.
Right.
Something, Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, Malcolm X.
Militancy,
yeah. And not contemporary.
Right.
Like the struggle that we have today, still trying to unite the African family. And how can we, this generation, fit into not the past, but fit into the future?
Right.
And we fit into it by shaping it.
Right.
We shape it in our own image and our own likeness according to our contemporary analysis of the challenges that we have. That's all our forefathers did.
What do you think is difficult, like one of the difficult things to do in trying to unite the family? Because for me, sometimes I feel like some of our brothers and sisters outside,
Yes,
outside Africa,
absolutely,
do not really see themselves as part of being Africa,
yes.
Africans.
That's the biggest challenge. One of the things that, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey is credited for is having led the largest Pan-African movement.
Who's that again?
Marcus Garvey.
Oh, Marcus Garvey, okay.
Because he had an organization that some estimate had about 7 million registered members. And that was in the diaspora, as we call it today, 7 million.
Wow.
As well as in Africa.
Wow.
Right now we're in Elmina, next door to Cape Coast. Even there's an outlaw, the chapter in Ghana,
Wow.
the old Gold Coast,
Wow.
of the UNIA.
So he had a whole country.
And I bring him up for another reason that he is not spoken of. Marcus Garvey was a master proper propagandist.
Okay.
I say that proper propagandist is that propaganda is very important in influencing the minds and the thoughts of men.
Okay.
And often is spoken of in a negative term, like propaganda, as if it's false information.
Right.
When I say proper propaganda, it is the proper information being propagated into the minds and the consciousness of our people.
Correct.
He put it on our minds that we're black and we should be proud.
Right.
Our attributes that we have as people of African descent should be something that we are proud of and not ashamed of.
Right.
And it was a propaganda that turned our minds away from Africa. It was miseducation, misinformation that turned our minds away from Africa. And Marcus Garvey, by challenging the global propaganda about the myth of the black man's inferiority, was able to put a sense of superiority in many cases, but certainly equality in the minds of African people, that they were second to none.
Wow.
And the separation that you have of millions of Africans in the diaspora from the reality that they're of African descent and they're African and that their destiny is tied up with the destiny of Africa has come because people, through global propaganda, have separated them. You got African Americans in America that have been there before America was America.
Correct.
Have been there pre-independence, have been there throughout independence, has fought in every war, but have never enjoyed full citizenship in America. And they find no problem in still giving all their efforts to be accepted, and in that process have rejected that they come from Africa and their destiny is entwined with Africa. Now that equation is shifting
Yes, a lot
slowly,
more. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
but it's coming through greater exposure to what Africa is really about and the truth about Africa, which shows that with proper propaganda, we can gain more minds, lift up more levels of consciousness amongst people of African descent to know that they must connect with Mother Africa.
That's what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
That's the work you guys are doing.
That's what we've been doing.
So-
And that's part of PANAFEST mission.
PANAFEST, right? Yeah. So tell me about the year of return and its influence and impact on this whole, your agenda, that PANAFEST's agenda, the year of return. Yeah.
Well, fortunately, to put it in perspective, PANAFEST had a lot to do with creating the year of return. It was through a PANAFEST conversation with government that we came up with the idea that 2019 would mark a significant landmark in the history of Africans in the United States of America by the history of 20 and odd Africans landing in the English colony of Jamestown, Virginia in 1619.
Yeah.
And because some of us knowing that history anticipated that it was a perfect time, since the Congress of the U.S. had designated that whole year, you know, a year of commemoration of the African contribution to America and the 400-year observance. Yes, Congress had a bill called H.R. 1242. So it was actually passed in Congress that year would be commemorated. And
who pushed this bill? Do you know?
Yeah, this bill was actually done by Biden. No, actually, it was the first Trump administration, believe it or not. So Congress did it. But anyway, it got through.
Yeah,
And so with that, and those of us who were knowledgeable of that felt that it was a perfect opportunity for PANAFEST year for the government of Ghana to take advantage and tap into that.
Right.
So we also calculated that since people in the U.S., many may not have the opportunity to attend PANAFEST, which is the last week in July up until the 1st of August, why don't we brand the year so that people coming in here any time of the year in 2019 would have something that they can participate in that will connect them. So we said, in branding the year, we named it the Year of Return.
Wow.
And certainly, to the shock of most people, I wasn't shocked because I thought I had the pulse of the people that it was time.
It was time, right?
But to the shock of many, that it was overwhelming in terms of the numbers of people who came in here that year and bought into the concept.
How did the word get out, though? Like,
well, I was a part of an entourage that went with the former president, Akufo-Addo, to Washington. You know, every year they have the General Assembly in New York at the UN. And we recommended that while the president was already in the U.S., it wouldn't cost no extra plane fare expenditure. Why don't he go right down to Washington, D.C., seek a meeting with the Congressional Black Caucus, invite them to invite their constituencies to take a trip to Africa. If you've never been there, let this be the year and the time that you make a pilgrimage to Africa. And if you need help with a choice, come to PANAFEST. But if you don't come to PANAFEST, we're going to have something going on all year long. So we went to Washington, D.C. I was there in the entourage. I spoke at the Washington Press Club, you know, where we actually invited African Americans to come to Ghana for 2019 with a special call to come to PANAFEST. You're going to see a prophecy unfold, to be a part of a historical commemorative exercise, and that word started to go out from there. And then Ghana used all of its platforms to promote it here throughout in Ghana, throughout the embassies. We also asked Foreign Affairs to get involved with promoting it in all the embassies in Africa to let other African nations know about it. So the idea of the return is what caught on, that term return.
Right, connected with the story, the history.
And some of us was more focused on that. Some were thinking of it more or less like as a tourist gimmick, just returning on an airplane flight, landing at Kotoka International Airport. But that's not the return that some of us were talking about. That was a part of it. But the real return was return to our African mind, return to our African value. It was a mental thing. It's time that we come off of this long journey away from the center of ourselves and come back to the center of ourselves and put value on being African and start thinking about Africa, and to know that there's no way, no matter what your individual accomplishments are as an African, and a person of African descent, you won't be near your full potential if Africa is not respected. Wow. And we all have a collective interest in making sure that we defend Africa. Absolutely. In fact, I remember at the launch, in my portion of the speech, I used the metaphor. I said when we were growing up, and you go to the schoolyard, and you started insulting your classmates and you're going back and forth, the only thing that was off limits was your mother. If anybody spoke about your mother, then it was fighting time.
Hell broke loose.
Everything, you threw everything down. Yeah. So I said, Africa's like that. That's our mother. And until we, everybody of African descent, say that Africa's our mother and don't talk about her negatively, that's off limits. We have to take that kind of pride in defending Mother Africa, like somebody was talking about our mother.
Wow.
And so that went over very big, yes. Yeah. People got my message.
Wow. That's all you got to say. It's like one of those things where somebody says, love your neighbor as yourself. It's that powerful. It covers everything.
Yes.
What is the experience like? If somebody wants to come to PANAFEST, what should they expect?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm happy you asked it because it's the experience we like to think is holistic. Holistic in that we promote a festival of arts and culture, so naturally the expectation is you'll see some very good talent, some of our best musicians, performances, like I said, whether they're in drum and dance and rhythm, song, spoken word. But in addition to that, we have certain sacred ceremonies and rituals that we do that are related to reconnecting the spirit of our brothers and sisters who've been away from Africa and haven't tasted Africa. We have ceremonies for that. And in other words, we open up with a wreath-laying ceremony, paying tribute to our Pan-African ancestors, W.B. Du Bois, George Padmore, and Kwame Nkrumah. All of them are buried here. And we acknowledge that makes Ghana a special place. Yes. And so we have a wreath-laying ceremony in honor of our Pan-African heroes. And then we also have what we call an Akwaba ceremony that is in Elmina. Since Elmina is one of the oldest places that has the oldest fort and dungeon there, and where we say the oldest crime scene. When Europeans came here and began their mission of desecrating Africa. We have an Akwaba ceremony with everybody.
Is that one?
That's right. That's one right over here, right in Elmina.
Which one is that one?
That is the Elmina Castle, as they call it. We call it Fort and Dungeon. Fort and Dungeon. And the reason why we call it Fort and Dungeon is because castles invoke some fairy tale images of once upon a time, and they live happily ever after. But these forts, they never house any royalty. No kings, queens, princes, princesses, only military garrisons. And mercenaries who were there. And that's where they held our ancestors in captivity. Wow. So we refer to them as forts and dungeons, contrary to what the real reference is in the history books. But nonetheless, the elders, the king of Elmina, the elders, they put together a special program where they received the brothers and sisters coming in to Ghana for the first time, even people who were repeating, to welcome them home. So we call it the Akwaba ceremony. And that is Akwaba ceremony is after they have boarded canoes from the door of no return in Cape Coast.
All the way.
And they ride in a canoe from the Cape Coast door of no return to Elmina to be received by the elders.
Is it one of those canoes?
One of those canoes out there, yes. So the feeling is, it is an experience. But what it is, it's a taste of what our ancestors experienced, because our ancestors were taken on these canoes to the big ships that were in the deeper waters. So they were in the canoes, taken to the big ships before taken outside of here. So it's a way of getting a taste of the experience of our ancestors, but in reverse, to come back home. So that's why we call it the return journey and the Akwaba ceremony. That's how PANAFEST opens up. Then we have also Reverential Night, where we have pay tribute to our ancestors on the eve.
All of this happens here, right?
All this happens here. And it's all part of the PANAFEST program. And what we've added to that too, last PANAFEST edition, we had a few experiments in early editions, but we've added it last edition and repeating it this year, is the pilgrimage, where we go up north before the main program starts. So it's a 4-day journey where you go and come down the route that our ancestors were taking, the slave route, to get down south here.
So wait, You mean north, as in northern Ghana?
as in northern Ghana,
It was
like
right up
Salaga,
there. Wow.
Salaga, Picoro, Bonomanso.
Oh, so they took
Kumasi.
them from there
We
and then
take-
brought them
We
here?
take them, actually go from Accra to Tamale,
Right.
and Tamale becomes the base. Then we go to Paga, Salaga, and then we start to descend down on the bus.
Right.
And some people fly up, and then they take the bus down.
Wow.
And so that's like you on the pilgrimage, going back.
This is what happened.
Yes.
You had to go
This is
through.
what happens. You got to feel it. You got to
Then
go through
something
it.
happens in the dungeons too, right?
Yes. So that is what we call reverential night. We have a candlelight ceremony, starting with a bonfire at Infantsipim Junction in Cape Coast. We go through the principal commercial street of Cape Coast with a candlelight procession. Then we go to the Cape Coast fort into the dungeons, and we have a ceremony in the dungeons at Cape Coast, and we lay wreaths, we light candles, and then we come up in the courtyard and have a program from 9 in the evening till midnight.
Wow.
And at midnight, then we proclaim emancipation, fully open for Emancipation Day, August 1st.
Wow.
But every evening, we have performances at the PANAFEST Village that's located at the Center for National Culture in the Central
Those
region.
who don't know, what is Emancipation Day?
Emancipation Day is a day that they celebrated freedom in the British colonies. All the enslaved ancestors who were enslaved in British colonies, mainly in the Caribbean, their day of freedom was January 1st. You know, in the U.S. now, it was August 1st.
August 1st.
And now in the U.S. we celebrate Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, yeah, it's a major
You know,
holiday.
Right. But in all of the Caribbean who've kept that tradition alive, August 1st is the day. And in 1997, the former president of Ghana, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rollins, made a trip to Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. And it was during that period, he was really shocked that such a program was going on and learned so much. He said, this should be done in Africa.
Wow.
So he brought that observance back here to Ghana in 1998.
Wow.
So since 1998, we've been celebrating Emancipation Day along with PANAFEST. So they come together. So that's how we made PANAFEST schedule. We celebrate PANAFEST all the way up to the 31st with that reverential night.
How many days?
It's 8 days.
8 days.
8 days altogether. And the 8 days, like I said, every night we create a PANAFEST village where we have our merchants, our artists, our craftsmen. They all have booths and stands there, our cuisine. So you actually come into what we call the PANAFEST Village. And at the PANAFEST Village, every night we have live performances.
Where is that? Like,
That's at the Center for National Culture too. We actually
Yeah.
reconstructed in Cape Coast.
Oh, okay.
So reconstruct the whole parking lot into the PANAFEST Village with an outdoor stage. So when we're doing theater, we're inside the center at the indoor theater. But for the concerts, we're outdoors. So we do the outdoor concerts there. And it's a festive, season outside of these sacred ceremonies.
one of these years when time permits and life
Yes.
permits, I'm going to do the entire thing, man.
Yeah, you have
I
to
gotta
come
do the
down. You have to
entire
come down. And we say to people who have never been on the continent, never set their foot here, that it's a perfect time to choose to be introduced to Africa.
thing. Right,
Ghana is the perfect gateway and the perfect window,
right,
and PANAFEST is the perfect event
right.
because people, first of all, think of Africa like they talk about it like it's a country
Right.
and not a continent.
Right.
That shows you the ignorance that people have of Africa.
Massively.
And then you know that when they realize the magnitude of Africa and how many countries it is to go, like where do I go? You know, who do I know there?
Right, right.
So they get paralyzed with just trying to analyze.
So it's like an opportunity
yes,
to get welcome.
right. So
They get the family.
you will have the traditional authorities and the traditional councils putting their arms around you, welcoming you. You'll see politicians coming around, welcoming you. People who are speaking to you like welcome home, and we want the Diaspora to come and reconnect with Africa. So in other words, it's a festival designed to meet you.
Right,
A festival designed for you to meet Africa.
right.
It's a festival design that is packaged so that every aspect of your expectation is addressed in some way, shape, form.
I
or
think that's a
another.
great thing because that's sort of a foundation of your experiences now when you come and do that in the
Yes,
future.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because then you've gotten the understanding. You will learn a lot.
Yes.
And feel it too.
Yes,
There's a feeling
absolutely,
there.
absolutely.
I have a question for you. So I know a lot of people ask me about citizenship.
Yes.
So what is that? How does one, if an African American or a black person of African descent anywhere, right, wants to become a citizen of Ghana, how does that work?
Well, part of the advocacy of PANAFEST throughout the years, and some of us who have come here back to Ghana, back to Africa years ago, have always worked on Africa in general, developing a policy to receive brothers and sisters who've been disenfranchised from Africa against their will by virtue of the North Atlantic slave trade. And so Ghana has taken a lead in that, and those who are interested in that, there's been two main policies developed around that concept. One is the Diaspora engagement policy, and the other is the Homeland Return Act. And the Homeland Return Act is more specifically trying to address how do our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who've been disconnected, how do you return home? That's why they call it the Homeland Return Act. And so what they are advocating principally in there is that you first show an interest in Africa, a serious interest. That you not just like want to say that you want citizenship as a cosmetic exercise.
Right.
You just say, oh, I got my citizenship.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do anything serious in Africa.
Okay.
You don't want to do anything serious in Ghana.
Okay.
Yes, you have the moral right to say, I want to belong.
Right.
But it should come along with something.
Absolutely.
And that something should start with a commitment to want to do what you can do with your resources on your level.
Right.
It doesn't set a high bar where it makes it impossible.
Right.
But at least you should show that interest. So that interest is to be manifest in a couple of ways. One is that you've traveled to Ghana before.
Okay.
In traveling to Ghana, you have a particular interest in Ghana as being your home or a place that you want to focus your investment or your time or making a significant contribution some way, form, or another, in cash or kind. A lot of us have expertise that is more valuable than cash. And so it is making that kind of decision. Second is that you've shown that you have visited the Ghana, and if you show the next step is like you acquire residency. Residency doesn't require you to be here 12 months a year. It allows for you to be here longer than the visiting period of 30 days or 60 days. And that gives you a chance to be more familiar with the continent and familiar with your choice. That takes it away from the cosmetic exercise into a real exercise.
Does that have to all happen in one trip or collectively?
No, collectively.
Oh, okay.
Collectively. And then to express your interest in wanting to be a citizen from the beginning. In other words, in the dialogue that I had around this subject matter with Ghana immigration, they were saying one of the problems that many of our brothers and sisters have is when they first fill out the application to come to Ghana on their first trip, they fill out the application to get a tourist visa. And so that begins to set the trajectory of why they're coming to Ghana. But if they stated in the beginning that I want to return home, Africa's my home, and I want to return home, so I'm going to visit my homeland to taste and see what it's like, because I want to eventually return to Ghana.
Right.
That sets a whole different statement that I'm a tourist.
Wow.
And I need a 2-week tourist visa.
Right.
And they end up giving you 30 days.
Wow.
And then you get here, you fall in love, and you say, well, why I got to report? Why I got to? You said you were a tourist. That was your first declaration.
Oh,
and because
that's a good point.
And because many of our people go through a tour company, the tour company also
is promoting tourism.
So you come in as a tourist,
you know.
So that is a key element there. So that when you come, you establish a record that is kept at immigration.
Okay.
So they also, you're only looking at the records. They don't know you. They see you as a tourist.
Right.
But when you state from the beginning your intention that Africa is your home, and I want to return. I'd like to return.
That's key.
That becomes a key to setting your record. That's always been your trajectory. That's what I always had in my mind doing. I couldn't do it right away because I wanted to come and see.
Right.
I wanted to come and taste. But this has always been my intention. I wanted to explore possibilities and opportunities, but this has always been my intention. So it's consistent in your record. And so with that having been done, then they can bring you to the next step, Ghana immigration, in terms of what you have to do under your personal circumstances to pursue the citizenship. There's a law on record. Those laws are being reformed and refined to cater to our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, separate from any other alien or foreigner coming in a country wanting to naturalize.
Okay, it's a whole different.
Right. So
great.
we have advocated that the government classify brothers and sisters in the diaspora as what we call the acronym HUG. HUG stands for Historically Unique Group.
Oh.
We're not Chinese, we're not Asian, we're not European, we're not white American. We are those sons and daughters who were taken away from Africa against our will, and we think that there should be an immigration policy that specifically addresses those of us who fit into that historically unique group category.
Unique group. I like that. Historically unique group. That's a nice T-shirt.
Yes. So, yes, it is. That's a good idea. But, historically, America is, outside of the Native American, is a country of immigrants.
Right.
In a country of immigrants, we're the only unique group in America that didn't choose necessarily in bulk that we were leaving our homeland for greater opportunity. Although we have a large African migration now in the last 25 years, that's probably exceeded more than any other time, the chunk of the African presence in the United States remains this core group of those who was taken from these shores against their will.
Oh, yeah.
So in that respect, it still, is appropriate terminology that we are a historically unique group.
So Rabbi, what would you want your legacy, in all of this to look like? This is a lot of hard work that you put in here, a lot of sacrifices. It's almost kind of like you kind of laid down your life to to do these things. Like I said in the beginning, you inspired me to go on this next 400 journey, and I'm just one person, and you continue to meet different people and talk to, so you have no idea how many people you're inspiring in a on an individual basis.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Why are you choosing to do this? Like
I think every cause needs people to live for it. I think that our cause as African people is worthy of lives to give and live for it.
Wow.
And we have had martyrs that have laid down their life for Africa and for the cause of African people. But what we need, in addition to that, are people who are willing to live for those causes and for those principles. And I've chose to live for that. I wanted to take my appreciation for those who went before me to be more than me just having their poster on my wall or their book on my shelf or a quotation on the end of my lips. I think Marcus Garvey's ideals and opinions are worth living for. I think Kwame Nkrumah's ideals and vision is worth living for. I think Malcolm X's ideals and vision is worth living for. The people in America believe that George Washington's vision is worth living for, and Thomas Jefferson and John Madison. They believe in a constitution that was written and a vision that was spelled out 250 years ago. They're still doing that. And America lives because there are people who live that vision. And Africa will live when Africans live in the vision of our prophets and our prophetesses that came to us to lift us up as a people. And so I believe that my life or legacy will be worth something when I have proven to generations to come that Africa is worth sacrificing for, living for, and dedicating yourself to.
Wow, that was powerful. I always say in passing, I don't want to be a generational thief. And by that, I mean, I know the sacrifices people have made for me to enjoy currently living in the United States, to enjoy my freedom, right? Others have laid down their lives, sacrificed. So I don't want to steal from that sacrifice and not do anything
Excellent.
in this time. You know what I mean?
Yes, I haven't heard it put that way, but that's great the way you put that.
Yeah,
you
so
know.
I'm going to make it an effort to inspire anyone I can, any of my brothers and sisters that I can, to take on this vision and say, hey, look, just a few years ago, you couldn't just get up and do all these things that you did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't take it for granted.
Yes.
And
yes.
let's do it better for the next generation.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing with the next 400. I know this is, you know, you've given me this opportunity. We're gonna do it again.
Yes,
I'm gonna come back in maybe a year or two and give you an update of what we've been doing.
All right, well, I'll congratulate you on what you're doing right now. I congratulate you on that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the time that you've given us. Hey, check out the PANAFEST. I'm telling you, it's an amazing experience, and this is how you get to connect with your roots, the motherland. Come and get the hug. You understand? Come and get the hug, come and get the experience, get spiritually connected, enjoy this holistic approach to, you know, connect them back to your ancestry. And tell us the dates again.
The dates are the 18th of July to the 2nd of August. The pilgrimage is from the 18th to the 22nd, and then the PANAFEST program itself is from the 23rd to the 2nd of August.
And when you leave, you're gonna be walking on water, man. That experience is thank you, Rabbi. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, my brother.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings.
To the next episode, stay blessed, and just remember that we are connecting Black excellence across continents and generations. Let's put in the work. Peace out.
Peace out.